I keep this in my massage room. This is really just some magazines rolled together. This is 3-time magazines. Everybody wants to know which magazines, and okay, that's what it is. You might make this larger for a larger person, or smaller for a smaller person. If you roll it really tight, it'll be harder. These are not so tight. They're a little bit looser. And it's made so that you can lay down and the spinous processes of the vertebra go through here, and this kind of gently presses into the rib heads on each side. So let me get you to turn around. Turn around so that your back's all the way. There we go. So really I want this to fit here along the ribs so that your spinous processes fit down, right down through the groove between the magazines, and this the magazines press into each side. This will gently lift those rib heads off the vertebra. So let's do the same sort of thing here, but instead of doing it face down, let's do it face up. And lay down on that. Almost everybody has this problem in the upper part of their rib cage, and so we want to make sure that the top of the magazines come to the base of the neck, and that the magazines are nicely centered on the back. I can feel that the spinous processes here are right between the magazines. I can feel that they're between the magazines here. And then let me get you to lay your hands on your ribs. And I want you to do the same breathing exercise, and I want you to keep your ribs moving. So take a deep breath in and hold it at that point where it's tight, and let it go for a second. There you go. Let it move back to neutral. And now go ahead and put a little bit of effort into forcing that air out until you reach that point of tension in the back again. And then slowly take it back in. Again, this should run for about 8 minutes. It's interesting to watch people do this. Many people are kind of taught to breathe from their abdomen, and so they'll have trouble. They'll keep trying to move their abdomen, and lots of people will lose focus over 8 minutes. I'll have people do this on the table while I'm working with them, and if I begin to talk to them, I always find myself reminding them to go back to doing this movement where they keep the ribs moving. And so if we'll keep these ribs moving for about 8 minutes, this also cuts loose of a lot of tension back there by not only mobilizing those rib heads, but oftentimes people will feel little vertebra pop into place and that sort of stuff, which always gets rid of tension as well. The only downside to doing this is I find that in some people that are very thin, that the pressure of the magazines is a little bit aggressive on them, and they'll need to put a towel or a blanket or something like that in between them. Some people are traveling when they have this problem, and so they don't really have a way to make the magazines, or they're in a hurry, they haven't made the magazines yet. And so you can also use a rolled towel like we did on the front in order to do this exercise. It's not quite as effective. The magazines seem to nicely align the system and allow the rib heads to mobilize. This is a slow and steady process, and so being patient and doing it over the full 8 minutes is very important, instead of trying to do the breathing more aggressively. If you breathe quickly in order to try to get bigger movements, that doesn't seem to help. It seems to be all about the slow and steady piece of this. Some people have extreme head-forward posture, and when those people have head-forward posture, oftentimes this will begin to shift the head-forward posture and begin to bring their head back more. As it does, some people get some discomfort in the base of their neck, and they need to either do the ice and stretch video, or they need to get some body work in their neck in order to help correct their head-forward posture. There's some other important things in body work that they may also need. They may need some cranial work, some pelvic balancing, some other torso work in order to help out with that head-forward posture. So if you get some restriction and pain in the base of the neck from doing this, then try one of those solutions, see your body worker or try the ice and stretch video. It's great. You've really kept moving well on that.